Parshas Eikev. The question we're going to ask is, where did Hashem promise chesed to our forefathers? Kindness to our forefathers. That's the apparent meaning of the opening verse of this parsha. Let's read it, and then we'll discuss it. V'haya Eikev tishmu'un es hamishpatim ha'ela, and it will be, if you listen to these laws, ushmartem va'asisem osam, and you observe them and you do them. V'shamar Hashem elokecha lecha, and God will guard for you, the Lord your God will guard for you, es habris, the covenant, ve'es hachesed, and the kindness, asher nishba la'avosecha, that he promised your fathers. So there are two things, apparently, that he promised our fathers. One is the bris, and the other is the chesed. Es habris ve'es hachesed. We won't talk about bris right now. It's probably fairly easy to identify multiple places where God promised us a bris. Where did God promise us chesed? Now, to compound the question, we will observe, as does Rav Schwab in Mayan Beis HaShoeva and Rav Baruch Epstein in Torah Tamima, that the Gemara Yerushalmi, the Talmud Yerushalmi, uses this verse to support something that's different. The Gemara says, Shlosha matanos tovos nasan HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. Hashem gave 3 good gifts to Israel: Baishanim, Rachmanim, V'gomlei Chasadim. Israel is Baishanim, which could be translated as reserved. Sometimes it's translated as embarrassed, but usually it means reserved, perhaps the opposite of Azus, of impudent. Rachmanim, merciful. V'gomlei Chasadim, and bestowers of loving kindness, of acts of loving kindness. And the proof text for Gomlei Chasadim is, drum roll, T'chsiv, V'shamar Hashem elokecha lecha es habris ve'es hachesed, and God will preserve or guard for you the covenant and the chesed, the kindness. It seems from this Gemara Yerushalmi that the kindness that we're talking about is not kindness from God to Israel, to the Jews. It sounds like what we are meriting, if we observe the mitzvos, if we listen to the mitzvos, is that Hashem will preserve the kindness that is within us, that is within the Jews. This is a proof text for one of the 3 cardinal characteristics of the Jewish people. The Gemara in Yerushalmi said that we are Baishanim, Rachmanim, V'gomlei Chasadim. Reserved, that's Baishanim, Rachmanim, merciful, V'gomlei Chasadim. That's about us. So, according to the Yerushalmi at least, Hashem will, if we listen to his words, preserve within us the attribute of chesed, of kindness. This attribute of kindness is not only limited to ourselves and to Israel, to the Jewish people, but it's part of the plan that if we listen to the words of Hashem, that the entire world will be blessed because of us. That's our kindness. So let's look at, and Rav Schwab quotes this verse in Bereshis. So following the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, the verse says, Vayomer, and he said, Bi nishbati nu'um Hashem. In I have vowed, says God, Ki ya'an asher osisa sadavar hazeh, because you've done this thing, you demonstrated your willingness to sacrifice that which was most dear to you, being your son. V'lo chasachta es binchas yichidecha, and you did not hold back your son, your only one. Ki vorech avorechecha, v'harba arbe ezaracha k'cha chvei hashamayim, and I will increase, multiply your descendants, your seed, like the stars of the heaven, ukechol asher asfas hayam, and like the sand that is on the shore, v'yirash zaracha sharav oivav, and your children, your descendants, will inherit the places of their enemies. V'hisbarachu b'zaracha kol goyei haaretz, and through your descendants will be blessed all of the nations of the world. Listen to the next words. Eikev asher shamata b'koli. Because, using that word Eikev, and it's not, the Eikev isn't the only word that means because, but here and throughout, it appears that Eikev and Shmiya go together. Eikev asher shamata b'koli. Because you listen to my voice. Because you listen to my voice and you observe my commandments, the whole world will be blessed. How is the world blessed? The world is blessed, says Rav Schwab, through the kindness of the Jew. Now we see this again in Parshas Takimosi Es HaShavua. This is in the middle of a verse. And I will fulfill the promise, Asher Nishbati L'Avram Avicha, that I promised to Abraham, your father. And I will multiply your descendants like the stars of the heaven, and I will give to your children all of these lands. V'hisborachu b'zaracha kol goyei haaretz, and all of the nations of the world will be blessed through your children. Listen to these words. Following, this is, again, Parshas Toldos, talking to Yitzchak. Eikev asher shama Avraham b'koli. Eikev, because, in this kind of Eikev code, Avraham listened to my voice, vayishmor mishmarti mitzvosai chukosai v'sorosai, and he observed my watch, that which is guarded to me, mitzvosai, my mitzvos, my commandments, my laws, and my teachings. So we see an intimate connection between maintaining a culture of listening to Hashem, observing his mitzvos, and we have Eikev, 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 which is that Hashem will preserve within us that which he promised to Avram. And what was that? That the nations of the world will be blessed through the descendants of our forefathers. That's us. Well, how does that work? It works because we have a culture that apparently is divinely implanted within us of ahavas chesed, of the love of kindness. As a matter of fact, this is formalized in the final prayer of the Shemona Esrei, of the Amidah, of the central prayer that we say in all of our davening. Ki bior panecha nasata lanu Hashem Elokeinu, because in the radiance of your face you gave us the Lord our God, Toras Chaim, the teaching of life, va'ahavas chesed, and a love of chesed. Kadosh Baruch Hu, through the radiance of his face, has given us a love of chesed. And if you just look around and you look at both within the religious community and the non-religious community, there is a sense of fulfillment, of mission, of meaning that we get when we do chesed. We do chesed naturally. We run to do chesed. And this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us. He wants us to run to do chesed, and that is why he's put that within us. But he's not only given us the mission to do chesed, he's given us the reward of satisfaction when we do that. Eikev tishma'un, we listen to him, and we observe his mitzvos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu preserves chesed within us so that we can bring benefit of all sorts to the world. This tendency of chesed is reflected in Tanakh, for example. In Malachim, Rav Schwab points out that Ben Hadad, who was the king of Aram, he said, you know what? Let's try to rely on the Jewish kings because they tend to be more beneficent. They tend to be kinder. Didn't work for him. But that's the reputation of the Jewish king. It's the reputation for those who are interested in knowing the truth of the Israeli army. It's the reputation of our Ba'alei Tzedakah, who give both to causes Jewish and non-Jewish. All the hospitals that are endowed with Jewish money, all of the organizations of chesed, the orphanages, etc., the remarkable amount of charity, of tzedakah, and gemilus chasadim is really something, not only something that we should be proud of, which we should, but it's also reflective of our fundamental nature. And this is our calling card. Ki b'or panecha nasata lanu Hashem Elokeinu Toras Chaim v'avas chesed, because in the radiance of your face, the shining countenance of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he gave us Toras Chaim, the Torah of life, and Ahavas Chesed, and a love of doing kind deeds. These psukim by themselves are chesed from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to us, ironically. Everybody wants meaning. Everybody wants to get nachas from themselves and from others. And we have the prescription. We have been advised by HaKadosh Baruch Hu that which will give us a sense of meaning and a sense of nachas from ourselves and from those around us is doing chesed. So this is not just a description. This is not just praising us for what we do, but it's a prescription. It's telling us if we want to feel redeemed, that our existence is worthwhile, then we should do chesed. Good Shabbos.